While our own solar system is relatively calm, the deep reaches of space-hide worlds where it rains molten glass, planets darker than coal, and doomed spheres being slowly devoured by their own stars. These are the 8 terrifying planets ever observed. Diamond Planet. This world is a super-Earth that is believed to be composed largely of carbon, which under the immense pressure and heat of the planet's interior has turned into diamond. The surface is likely covered in graphite and shimmering crystalline structures, but the environment is far from beautiful. It orbits its host star so tightly that a full year lasts only 18 hours, and the side facing the sun is a fluid wasteland of molten minerals. While the idea of a diamond world sounds like a treasure, the crushing gravity and searing heat would pulverize anything that set foot on its sparkling crust. Hell Planet. While this is the closest exoplanet to our solar system and sits in a supposedly habitable zone, it is trapped in a state of constant radiation bombardment. Because it orbits a red dwarf, it is subject to stellar flares that are hundreds of times more powerful than anything the sun hits Earth with. These flares likely strip away the atmosphere and scour the surface with X-rays, making the prospect of life almost impossible. One side of the world is perpetually baked in a harsh orange light, while the other is a frozen wasteland, leaving only a thin, turbulent strip of twilight where conditions might be stable. Molten Glass Rain Planet. At first glance, this gas giant looks like a serene cobalt blue marble reminiscent of Earth. The reality is far more violent. The deep blue color actually comes from a high-altitude atmosphere filled with silicate particles that essentially rain down as molten glass. Because the planet is lashed by howling winds reaching 7 times the speed of sound, this glass rain doesn't just fall, it blows sideways in a relentless, abrasive storm. Any traveler attempting to descend through these clouds would be shredded instantly by a trillion shards of glass flying at over 5,000 miles per hour. Black Hole Planet. Floating in the constellation of Draco, this is the darkest planet ever discovered, reflecting less than 1% of the light that hits it. It is blacker than a lump of coal or acrylic paint, looking like a void in the middle of space. The air is heated to over 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, causing the planet to emit a faint, eerie red glow, like the embers of a dying fire. Scientists still aren't entirely sure why it absorbs so much light, though they suspect light-absorbing chemicals in its atmosphere keep it permanently shrouded in a thick, hot gloom. Ice and Lava Planet. This planet is a hellish landscape where the weather cycle consists entirely of rock. One side of the world is permanently locked toward its star, creating a vast ocean of magma that is dozens of miles deep. This intense heat causes the rock to evaporate into the atmosphere, which then drifts toward the frigid, dark side of the planet. Once there, the mineral vapors cool and condense, raining solid rocks back down into the lava or freezing into massive glaciers of stone. It is a cycle of eternal melting and hardening that leaves the surface in a constant state of geological upheaval. Ice World. Nicknamed Hoth after the fictional Ice World, this planet is the coldest place known to exist outside of our solar system. It sits so far from its dim red dwarf star that the surface temperature remains a steady negative 364 degrees Fahrenheit. The atmosphere is likely frozen solid, meaning there is no air to breathe, only a thick layer of permanent frost covering a rocky core. It is a silent, motionless desert of ice where the very atoms of the environment seem to stand still in the eternal dark. Metal Rain Planet. This giant planet experiences temperatures so high that they actually vaporize iron on its day side. During the day, the heat reaches nearly 4,000 degrees, turning metal into a fine mist that is carried to the cooler night side by powerful atmospheric currents. As the iron vapor reaches the dark side, it cools down and condenses, falling from the sky as heavy, molten metallic droplets. To stand on the surface would be to experience a literal rain of liquid metal, falling through a pitch-black sky under the weight of an incredibly thick and suffocating atmosphere. Being Eaten Planet. This doomed world is literally being eaten by its own star, giving it a stretched-out shape like a massive dark egg. It orbits so incredibly close to its sun that the star's gravity is pulling the planet's atmosphere away, creating a bridge of glowing gas between the two. The surface temperature is an unbearable 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt most metals and ensure that no liquid could ever exist. It is a world on a countdown, slowly being consumed until nothing remains of its distorted mass.